Dean Ryan here again from bookmakers.com and of course the Race Hour with me, horse racing expert Darren Hughes. Darren, you good?
Yeah, all good, Dean, thank you.
Now, we did part one of horse racing jargon. What we found is there's so much jargon, we do need a part two. And you're going to have 5 minutes on the clock again, Darren. I'm going to fire them at you. So let's see how we go. Clock starts now. Okay, let's go with balloted out. What does that mean?
So balloted out is in a handicap race. There's only so many runners allowed in the race, and if you don't reach a certain level or a certain rating at, say, the bottom of the weights, you're not allowed to run, which would qualify as you being balloted out. It's not that you didn't want to run in the race, it's not that you've withdrawn yourself, it's that there are too many runners ahead of you higher up the ratings that mean you're not allowed to run ahead of them.
Good thing for bettors, I guess, with a balloted out is that if you are balloted out, generally sportsbooks will return your money.
No, generally about it, they should, and if they don't, chase up with their customer service.
Get in touch with CS. Love that. Okay, let's move on to a couple of things that happen during a race. Unseated.
So unseated is where a horse doesn't necessarily fall himself, but the jockey is unseated from the horse and ends up on the deck. Outside
the trap door or the back door. Okay, talk to me about why a horse might go for black type.
So black type is, it's effectively used on the breeding page of a horse. If you see a horse of black type, that means they've finished fourth or better in a race of listed class or better. So this was more useful back in the day before we had all the information and database that we have now. It would give breeders an indication of whether the horse has achieved a certain level of performance. But with all the databases we have now, like your Racing Post of the world, black type doesn't necessarily mean as much as it would have done back in the day. That doesn't stop breeders and connections from going for it.
You may see that form figure in black, I guess, which is where that black type thing comes from. Talk to me about when a horse is brought down.
Brought down along the same vein as unseated. The horse didn't fall himself, but was brought down usually by another horse in front of him who's fallen already, or by a jockey if the horse trips over that, so he was brought down.
Very unfortunate. Talk to me about when we talk about horses' connections.
Yeah, so connections refers to the people who are connected to a horse. That means the owner, the trainer, the jockey, occasionally the breeder if it's a big breeder, but it's anyone who's connected to the horse. Effectively, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, what happens, what does it mean if a horse is being described as being a bit backward?
A bit backward just means the horse hasn't necessarily grown into him or herself yet. So they maybe haven't filled out their frame. There could be a big, long sort of a horse that hasn't necessarily filled out. Think of it like as a teenager, who got their growth spurt and is still a bit skinny. They grow into themselves in time, but they might just need more time than, say, their fellow horses. They might be a little bit longer before they see the racetrack.
Backward horse can still improve, I think, is where we're going with that. Okay, what happens if a horse has been boxed in?
Boxed in is throughout the course of the race, where usually against the rail, but not always, where a horse can't get clear daylight to get a clear run himself or herself. He's been boxed in by horses around him. This can actually be intentional. A lot of the time it's known as race riding, where you box in a rival of yours to make sure stop them from getting a clear run to give you a better chance of winning your race.
Hugely frustrating as a punter. What does it mean if a jockey's taking a few pounds off if they're a claimer?
Yes, for apprentice jockeys and amateur jockeys, they're usually given an allowance in terms of the weight that the horse they're going to be riding is going to carry. This is usually dependent on experience and how many winners the jockey has ridden. So it goes from £7 off to £5 off to £3 off, and it's whatever the published weight of the horse is, the jockey will be able to take off £7, £5 or £3, again dependent on experience.
Okay, what do I mean when I say that might be a horse for the classics?
Yes, the classics they're the oldest races in horse racing. Effectively, they are the Derby, the Guineas, the 2000 Guineas and the 1000 Guineas, and the Ledger, which is actually the oldest classic of all. They're the most coveted races, the ones that every horse is bred to win a classic at some point or another. Now, obviously very few go on to achieve it, only one a year per classic, but they're the most coveted races in our sport. Okay,
talk to me about the difference between a handicap and a normal race.
So a handicap is where horses carry the weight that a horse carries is relevant to their rating. So if you, for example, say one horse is rated 80, he's going to carry 10 stone. Another horse is rated 70, means that horse is going to carry 10 pounds less, which is 9 stone 4.
Okay.
A conditions race is where a horse carries weight depending on the conditions of a race. So this can be related to the gender of the horse, the age of the horse, and what kind of races the horse has won in the past. It has nothing to do with the horse's rating in of itself.
Handicapper's job is to get them all to finish in a straight line, isn't he? He never does it. But if he can get
Never
them to
happens.
finish close to it, then he's done his job. Handicapper's done his job. Okay, let's talk about one that if you're a batter of horses, you're a punter.
Yeah, you're a punter, so that means you back horses. You're someone who bets either for a living or for fun or for whatever else. But if you back horses or back anything else, you're a punter.
Okay, well, now you've listened to our 2 videos on jargon busting on horse racing. You are effectively a more informed punter. We have hit the clock, Darren. That's 5 minutes.